Let's start moving in the fancy direction that Dimple suggested. It's like adding them to a list. Let's add them to something inside that div so that each one isn't just separated by a single space. Let's try putting each one in a separate paragraph inside that div. So don't do this. I'm just demonstrating. What I'm looking for is something like this. Something like that, where every time I add one, it adds a new paragraph inside this div with that person's name. How can we do that? Any ideas? Well, at that point, text content will no longer do, because we're not just changing the text, we're actually changing children of that element that are not just text. Did you have a question?
Why can't we just use \n?
So \n. Let's do it. Instead of just a space, let's put \n. That is the new line character, right? If this were a text file, that would totally put them on a new line. Let's see what happens. Refresh. It's K-A, spell your name again for me. Isn't that him? What's your name again? N-I, that's right. N-I-K-H-I-L? Right, thanks, Nikhil. I'm going to remember it one of these days. Okay, here we go. And that is Mel next to him, right? Mel. They're still just right next to each other. Let's look at the source. Well, we can't look at the source. Let's look at, let's inspect the elements. On this Elements tab in your DevTools, which hopefully you just have open all the time now while you're working, we see there is a space there. I mean, there is a new line there. But new lines inside HTML are collapsed to a single space. So they're not actually treated as line breaks. There's actually a separate element for a line break. BR. Or what we were going to do was add a new paragraph. So yeah, that doesn't do what we want, unfortunately. Good idea, though. Other ideas? What we want to do is actually modify the HTML content of this element instead of just the text content. And no, there is not just an HTML content, but there is something similar. It is innerHTML. Yep. So what if we changed text content to innerHTML, and all four letters H, T, and M, and L are capitalized, and appended, instead of space username, how could we put each username inside a paragraph? What did I do here? Say again? Oh, if we wanted to do just a line break, yeah, BR. We're going to do paragraphs. So what would we do? Just add the paragraph tag. So let's put a string with the paragraph tag in it. Then we need to concatenate, right, the username. Then we need to concatenate a closing paragraph tag. Make sense? Refresh. I know it. Yeah, that's right. Oops. All right. Now they look like they're all in paragraphs. To inspect over here, instead of just opening elements and floating around with your cursor, you could also right-click on one of them and say Inspect. And even if your DevTools are closed, it'll open them, and it goes straight to the element you're looking at. Also notice, see the orange around there? And see this here? This shows you padding, border, and margin. So the orange is the margin that's automatically there around a paragraph. All handy stuff. All right, so now they're all in separate paragraphs. Yeah.
What's the difference between text content and innerHTML?
So text content. That's a good question. Let's do this. Let's get this div, which was called const users equals document dot query selector hash users. Check that out. There it is. Let's do users.text content. And I get all that text just smashed together. So all that is the text. If it has child elements, this will not get the actual HTML around it. And if I were to set it now, even if, so let's do users.text content equals or plus equals, and remind me your, wait. It's got the W in the middle, Ashwin. Yeah. So that's how I remember it. So plus, oh, well, heck, I can do it like this. Ashwin. What's going to happen? Well, first of all, it stripped out all the HTML that was there because I went back to just treating its contents as text. And secondly, it treated those paragraph tags as the text angle bracket P angle bracket. So with innerHTML, you can actually put HTML tags inside of that and it'll work, and it won't blow away any HTML that's already there. And with text content, it always treats it as plain text.
Wait, if you added just Ashwin, would that still?
Strip out all the HTML that was already there.
Oh, it would still just print the text, like not the list.
Right, now those paragraphs aren't even there anymore. It just stripped all of them out and put the text there as soon as we started modifying text content. Yep. Did that answer your question? Cool. But we did a thing since our last commit. Right now, get status. If you could spell status. Notice Git has really good error messages, by the way. It has a pretty good idea what we meant. The most similar command is status, get status. Changes not changed for commit, so our changes are right here in the working directory. To get them to the staging area, we need to add, git add, dot. Now they're in the staging area. We want them in our actual repository, so we commit. Add each username in a paragraph. In its own paragraph. Now it's in my repository, but only locally on my laptop. I want it to be on GitHub as well, so I need to push to my remote